6 months following his lavish divorce, millionaire Daniel Carter's life took an unforeseen twist when he caught sight of his pregnant ex-wife, Elena, serving tables at his wedding reception, the mother of his child. The astonishing truths that emerged would leave everyone in utter disbelief and force Daniel to confront the choices that had shattered them both. Daniel Carter and Elena embodied the ideal partnership that inspired admiration from all around them. Their bond appeared to capture the true spirit of determination and affection, having crafted their existence from scratch despite numerous challenges. Their journey commenced in college, where a mutual vision of the future, bolstered by steadfast support and laughter, laid the groundwork for their love story. In those formative times, their evenings were filled with visions of brighter prospects, as Elena remained steadfastly by Daniel's side through every challenge. In the midst of his most challenging times, when his dreams of entrepreneurship appeared to be slipping away, she set aside her own aspirations, dedicating her efforts to ensuring their financial stability. As Daniel poured his heart and soul into his business, Elena remained the unwavering anchor that ensured their survival. She had unwavering faith in him, even when the challenges seemed insurmountable. Ultimately, Daniel's venture surpassed all predictions and started to thrive. The sacrifices they had both endured were ultimately recognized as his success unfolded, transforming their previously humble existence into one of opulence. They reveled in the victory of their collaborative endeavors, both experiencing the profound fulfillment that comes from achieving success as a team. Their wedding was understated, a true reflection of their love that surpassed any material riches Daniel had gathered. The ceremony was intimate, emphasizing the deep bond they had cultivated over the years rather than any sense of grandeur. For a fleeting instant, it seemed as if the aspiration they had diligently pursued had at last come to fruition. Yet, with the expansion of Daniel's empire, the expectations of his enterprise also increased. The long hours spent at the office evolved into weeks filled with consecutive meetings, frequent travel, and ceaseless networking. Gradually, the man Elena had once understood so intimately started to fade away into the realm of elite clients, corporate maneuvering, and the relentless demands of sustaining his status at the pinnacle. The bond they had, once strong and full of life, started to fade, and it was Elena who first sensed the widening gap. Their evenings, once vibrant with affection, now resonated with a profound stillness as Daniel's focus became consumed by his phone and professional obligations. Elena initially attempted to reassure herself that this was merely a fleeting moment, that her husband would ultimately return to her side. As time passed and the months transformed into years, she came to understand that the emotional chasm between them was growing irreparably vast. Daniel's obsession with his public persona and the relentless demands of his business engulfed him. He transformed into a refined persona, a carefully crafted representation of a triumphant, influential leader, distinct from the man who had once confided every personal nuance of his existence to her. As the man she once knew transformed into this unfamiliar figure, Elena sensed herself becoming a remnant of a bygone era, a presence that no longer appeared essential in his life. Her resentment simmered beneath the surface, subtly intensifying as she observed him placing his career above their relationship. What hurt the most was not merely the neglect, but the cold indifference with which he regarded her emotions. She observed him effortlessly engage with business partners, mingle with celebrities, and portray himself as the ultimate professional. Yet his warmth and focus appeared to be directed at everyone except her. Elena started to ponder her role in his existence. Was she still significant, or had she merely transformed into a fragment of his past, a recollection he had moved beyond? Even as the tension swelled inside her, Elena chose to hold her tongue. She wished to avoid coming across as ungrateful or unsupportive of his accomplishments, so she chose to keep her emotions hidden, holding on to the hope that circumstances might get better. As time went by, the man she had once cherished and admired began to feel like a mere stranger within the walls of their shared life. Dialogue had devolved into mere surface-level interactions concerning tasks or daily affairs, offering scant opportunity for the profound, intimate bond they had previously enjoyed. It was during this period that Amelia stepped into Daniel's world, infusing it with fresh vitality and determination. She possessed an extraordinary beauty, an alluring aura, and a keen mind that instantly captivated Daniel. What began as her position within his company gradually transformed as she started to stand out with her sharp business acumen and rapid-fire humor. Daniel, acknowledging her skill, entrusted her with more significant projects. She started joining him on business trips, becoming a constant presence in his daily activities, and gradually earned his trust. Amelia's method was understated. She never directly showed any disrespect towards Elena, nor did she make any obvious efforts to interfere in their relationship. Instead, she positioned herself as a dependable coworker, providing Daniel with just the right amount of commendation to ensure he felt appreciated, while consistently upholding an air of professionalism. Initially, her presence appeared innocuous, yet Elena sensed a change in the atmosphere. Daniel began to reference Amelia with increasing regularity, his tone infused with a deep appreciation for her input. It wasn't merely the words that disturbed Elena, but the manner in which Daniel spoke of her. His eyes glimmered with a kind of admiration she hadn't experienced in years. For the first time, Elena experienced a sudden pang of jealousy, an emotion she had never anticipated would emerge in their relationship. The fissures in Daniel and Elena's marriage widened following a calamitous business venture. Burdened by the weight of his responsibilities, Daniel carried his tension into the home, where Elena found herself on the receiving end of his frustrations. In the midst of chaos, Amelia recognized a chance and deftly began to sow the faintest hints of uncertainty in Daniel's thoughts. She skillfully shaped his views, presenting Elena's worries as indications of her insufficient backing and twisting their disagreements to amplify their severity beyond reality. The moment of truth came on their 6th wedding anniversary. Elena had imagined a serene night in, with just the two of them sharing the space. She crafted Daniel's favorite meal, illuminated the room with candles, and donned the dress he once cherished, the one he would often say made her resemble a movie star. It was her final effort to rescue their union, to evoke the affection they had once known. Yet, Daniel did not arrive. Upon his eventual arrival at the house, several hours later, he was impeccably attired in a sharp suit, exuding the sense of champagne and cologne. Elena, her voice trembling, quietly stated, "You missed our anniversary." Daniel hardly registered her words. "I mentioned that I have an event this evening. I had no choice but to go through with it." Her jaw tightened. A gathering? Or merely a convenient reason to share the evening with Amelia? His gaze intensified, his focus captured. What on earth does that mean? That's when everything came pouring out. Elena's fury, exasperation, and sorrow spilled forth. She charged him with neglect, claiming he placed Amelia and his career above their union. Daniel, weary and on edge, retorted, "I've created all of this for us, Elena. All my efforts have been dedicated to you." "No," Elena shot back, tears cascading down her cheeks. "You created this for your own sake, and now it feels like I've vanished from your sight." The debate intensified swiftly. Daniel charged her with ingratitude, claiming she did not grasp the tremendous burden he was facing. Elena confronted him about his broken promises, expressing her feelings of being overlooked as he chased his ambitions. By the end of the confrontation, Elena trembled with emotion, completely overcome. She packed a small bag, clinging to the hope that Daniel would intervene, that he would stand up for her. Yet he chose not to. He remained still, unyielding, as she exited, departing from his presence. In the stillness of the night, Elena wept quietly in her hotel room, while Daniel remained solitary in the hushed kitchen, gazing at the untouched meal she had set out for him. Deep down, he acknowledged the error he had committed, yet his pride and obstinacy held him back from confessing it. That was when Amelia arrived, stepping into the role of the caring, supportive partner that Elena had become unable to fulfill. She played on Daniel's insecurities, suggesting that Elena was a hindrance, that he required someone who genuinely grasped the challenges of his reality. Daniel, engulfed in uncertainty, began to trust her words. The confrontation had unsettled his faith in their union, and when the subject of separation arose, Elena, exhausted from striving for a partner who appeared indifferent, signed the documents without hesitation. She gathered her things, slipping away silently, concealing the truth she held deep inside. Half a year post-divorce, Daniel found himself basking in the pinnacle of his public achievements. The wedding reception for Amelia, hosted at one of the city's most esteemed venues, became the highlight of the season's social calendar. The opulent ballroom, aglow with shimmering chandeliers, radiated with the brilliance of the city's finest celebrities, influential business leaders, and prominent politicians. The elegantly attired guests filled the space with joyous laughter and heartfelt admiration for the stunning couple. Daniel, clad in a tailored suit that highlighted his authoritative demeanor, stood next to Amelia, who embodied the essence of an ideal partner in an elegant designer gown. United, they embodied an aura of affluence, authority, and an exquisite allure that seemed beyond reach. Yet, beneath the smiles and accolades, Daniel sensed an unmistakable void. Something felt amiss, yet he swiftly dismissed it, chalking the feeling up to fatigue and the unyielding demands of societal expectations. As the evening unfolded, Daniel gradually distanced himself from the celebrations, yearning for a brief escape into solitude. He remained in the dim light by the bar, quietly watching the festivities unfold from afar. At that moment, he observed a server gracefully navigating the throng, collecting empty plates and replenishing beverages. Her attire was unadorned, her features obscured, yet there was an intriguing quality in her gestures that drew his gaze. As the light struck her at the perfect angle, Daniel felt a sudden tightness in his chest. It was Elena. She seemed to have aged, her once vibrant complexion now faded and weary, her face more gaunt than he recalled. Yet she was unmistakable. In an ephemeral instant, the world around him appeared to freeze in time. He remained motionless, a look of shock etched on his features, while a wave of memories surged forth. Her laughter, the subtle strength she had consistently displayed, the steadfast faith she had invested in him. However, it wasn't merely the surprise of encountering her once more that left him in a state of turmoil. Her pregnancy was evident. Underneath her relaxed uniform, her curvy belly was hard to miss. His thoughts surged, striving to connect the scattered memories of their history. Why did she fail to bring up her pregnancy during the divorce? What brought her to this place? Why did she keep it from him? With a determination that could no longer be contained, Daniel navigated through the throng, each stride bringing him nearer to her presence. As he approached, the instant her eyes met his, she became utterly still. Her expression blended astonishment with apprehension. Her grip on the tray she carried growing firmer. She remained silent. "Elena," Daniel's voice quivered softly. "Excuse me? What brings you here?" Her eyes danced with a blend of feelings, yet she stood tall, her stance resolute as she tried to conceal her fragility. "I'm busy," she responded curtly. "How does it appear?" His eyes moved to her abdomen, and his voice wavered, a mix of disbelief and simmering anger lurking just below the surface. "So, you're expecting?" Her silence was deafening, conveying more than words ever could. Her silence spoke volumes beyond what any words could convey. Daniel's mind whirled as a tempest of feelings surged inside him. A sense of remorse, a swirl of uncertainty, an intense pain he struggled to articulate. "I need to talk to you," he said, his voice laced with urgency. "Not in this location, but in a more secluded place." "No," Elena replied, her voice steady even as tears threatened to fall. "This isn't your moment, Daniel. Given all that has transpired, you no longer have the right to inquire." His heart tightened at her words, a wave of guilt washing over him. Before he could utter another word, Elena brushed past him, determined to complete her tasks and sidestep any additional conflict. The moment captured attention. From her vantage point, Amelia observed, her keen intuition quickly picking up on the palpable tension that hung in the air between them. Her smile wavered as she politely stepped away from the conversation and approached Daniel. "What's happening? Who is this individual?" Amelia inquired, her interest ignited. Daniel paused, uncertainty flickering in his mind. "She's a long-time acquaintance," he hesitated, yet his tone betrayed uncertainty. Amelia arched an eyebrow, her eyes darting between him and Elena, who was busy clearing another table. Is that so? It appeared to be something beyond that. Daniel remained silent, and the quiet that enveloped them conveyed more than words ever could. Amelia's expression grew somber, yet she chose not to pursue the matter any further. Instead, she seized his arm, drawing him back toward the reception. "We have guests waiting," she said, her smile strained and her grip tight. Later that evening, unable to dismiss the conversation from his thoughts, Daniel sought out Elena in a secluded corridor close to the kitchen. She meticulously wiped down the tray, her movements careful and measured, as if she were intentionally steering clear of his eyes. As he uttered her name, she remained unresponsive, her gaze fixed elsewhere. "Elena," he murmured gently. She let out a breath, a sound laden with acceptance. "What is it that you desire? I must seek the answer," Daniel implored, his voice trembling. "Does it belong to me?" For a brief moment, Elena paused. She contemplated deception, considering how to shield herself from the chaos his presence would inevitably unleash. Yet the urgent, pleading quality in his voice caused her to pause. At last she gave a nod. "Indeed, it belongs to you." The revelation struck Daniel with the force of a gut-wrenching blow. He stumbled back, fingers raking through his hair as his thoughts struggled to grasp the gravity of her words. "Why was I not informed?" His voice trembled, a blend of fury and pain surging within him. Elena locked eyes with him, her gaze burning with determination. "You didn't care," she said, her voice dripping with resentment. "You were preoccupied with constructing your legacy and disappearing with her. You didn't even take a moment to glance back." "I had no intention of pleading for your focus, Daniel." Her words pierced through him, leaving Daniel grappling for a reply. Just as he was about to speak, the sharp sound of heels striking the floor cut through the moment. Amelia entered, her demeanor steady, yet her eyes glinted with a barely suppressed rage. "What's happening here?" she insisted, her tone be sharper than normal. Elena straightened, her expression becoming resolute. "Nothing," she replied sharply, moving past them with deliberate disregard, vanishing into the corridor. Amelia faced Daniel, her lips forming a firm line. "We need to talk," she said, her tone brooking no dissent. Without pausing for a reply, she took his hand, leading him toward the central reception area. Daniel trailed behind, yet his thoughts drifted far away from the scene playing out before him. Elena, the baby, and the heavy burden of his past choices filled his mind entirely. He lingered next to Amelia, striking poses for the camera and engaging in light conversation with the attendees, yet his thoughts continually wandered back to Elena. She had lost the lively spirit he remembered, and the undeniable roundness of her belly, a stark reminder of his decisions, broke through the carefully crafted barriers of denial he had maintained for so long. Daniel realized he could no longer resist the pull of his desires. Locating her had turned out to be more challenging than he had expected. He had to navigate some connections, utilizing a contact at the hotel to obtain her employment records. After much persistence, he ultimately succeeded in finding her address. As he approached her apartment building, the evening had fully surrendered to the embrace of night. The surroundings were unpretentious, yet carefully kept, a stark contrast to the elegant locales Elena once inhabited during their time together. The difference pierced sharply. As he lingered outside her door, a wave of uncertainty washed over him. Did he truly have the right to be present in this space? Yet, the vivid picture of her expectant form invaded his thoughts, and remorse gripped his heart. She was bearing his child, and he had not stood by her side when she required him the most. Taking a moment to gather his resolve, he prepared himself. After a moment's hesitation, Elena swung the door open. Her expression transformed instantly into one of contempt, as though his presence was the very last thing she desired. "What is it that you desire?" she inquired, her tone devoid of warmth and invitingness. Daniel raised the bags of groceries he clutched, presenting them as a gesture of reconciliation. He spoke softly. "I brought you some things." Elena folded her arms, effectively barring the way. Your assistance wasn't requested, Daniel. Text, I understand you didn't request it, he responded. But I feel compelled to assist, no matter what. She regarded him intently for a prolonged moment, her jaw clenched, before she moved aside, granting him passage. The apartment was compact, yet tidy. The place unmistakably bore the marks of a work in progress. Soft fabrics of tiny garments arranged with care on the couch, a crib nestled in the corner, and a cherished ultrasound image displayed proudly on the fridge. A wave of remorse washed over Daniel as he absorbed the scene before him. She was handling this independently. Nice place, he remarked, a hint of awkwardness in his voice as he placed the grocery bags on the counter. Elena's laugh was brief and tinged with bitterness. It's not quite a penthouse, but I get by, she remarked, glancing away from him. Daniel paused, then murmured, his tone heavy with remorse. Elena, I don't... She interrupted him, her voice cutting and relentless. Whatever you're about to express, you don't have the right to glide back into my life simply due to your remorse. It's not guilt, he clarified, moving in closer. I recognize my mistakes, and I understand the pain I've caused you, but I am determined to set things right. I am here for you and for the little one. Her laugh this time was tinged with bitterness, echoing the weight of years filled with pain. Do you truly wish to be present in this moment, after everything that has transpired? After months of striving to create a life for myself and this child, while you've been enjoying your seemingly perfect existence. It isn't flawless, he responded softly. She turned away, shaking her head. I have no need for you, Daniel. I've come to terms with life in your absence. That night, he refrained from pressing her any further, yet as he prepared to depart, he uttered one last proclamation. I understand your skepticism, and I can't fault you for it, but I remain committed to you. This time, staying true to his promise, Daniel kept appearing unexpectedly. Yet he always brought something along. Occasionally it's groceries, at other times it's baby clothes, and sometimes it's takeout from her beloved restaurant. He never sought her attention, nor imposed his presence upon her life. He consistently appeared, over and over. Initially, Elena felt a deep-seated resentment towards it. She despised his belief that trivial acts could atone for the pain he had inflicted. She despised the way her heart still raced whenever he flashed that smile in her direction. A part of her yearned to trust in his sincerity. Yet gradually, his subtle determination started to erode her barriers. He wasn't merely tossing cash at her issues. He consistently appeared, demonstrating through his actions that he was genuinely committed to supporting her. One afternoon, Daniel approached her door and presented her with a folder. She gazed at it with a sense of fatigue. What is this? She inquired. I enrolled in parenting classes, he stated matter-of-factly. Elena's eyebrows arched in astonishment. He expressed his desire to be prepared. I aim to approach this with care, for the little one and for you. For the first time, she caught a glimpse of something in him that had long been absent, echoes of the man she had once cherished. The person who gifted her sunflowers, who filled her days with laughter until her cheeks ached. The true turning point arrived during an appointment. After weeks of persistent persuasion from Daniel, Elena finally relented and agreed to let him accompany her. As the ultrasound technician activated the monitor, Daniel felt a tightness in his throat. The rhythmic, swift pulse of the baby resonated throughout the room, and he gazed at the screen in wonder. That's the little one, he murmured, his voice heavy with feeling. Elena cast a fleeting look his way and was taken aback to find tears shimmering in his eyes. That's our little one, she gently corrected, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel instinctively reached for her hand, but she withdrew, her tone resolute. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you, Daniel, she said, her gaze steady and resolute. He nodded, brushing away the tears from his eyes. I understand. I'm not seeking absolution. I simply wish to exist in this moment. One evening, while they meticulously folded baby clothes together on the couch, Elena finally voiced the thoughts that had been simmering within her for far too long. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust you again, she confessed. her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel locked eyes with her, his demeanor serious. He vowed to dedicate his entire life to earning that trust, no matter the cost. Elena remained silent, yet inside her, a spark of hope started to emerge. Perhaps, just perhaps, he truly meant it. As Elena's due date approached, Daniel found himself increasingly engaged in her world. He had his flaws. His earnest efforts to assert control frequently conflicted with Elena's strong-willed independence. Yet he was making an effort. One evening, while they put the crib together, Elena noticed him gazing at her. "What?" she inquired, arching an eyebrow. "You're amazing," he remarked, his tone brimming with respect. Elena rolled her eyes with a sharpness that was almost theatrical, but a subtle smile tugged at the corners of her lips, revealing the amusement she attempted to hide. As Daniel lingered in her presence, vivid recollections of their marriage emerged with striking precision. He started to observe inconsistencies in Amelia's portrayal of their relationship, remarks she had made regarding Elena's discontent, the abrupt disintegration of their connection, and how everything appeared to unfold so seamlessly. There was an unsettling quality to it. One afternoon, while sifting through the archive company files, he stumbled upon an old email thread that featured Amelia and one of his previous assistants. A feeling of discomfort settled within him. What was the reason for this assistant's departure immediately after Elena and I parted ways? Daniel contemplated, the question hovering in his thoughts like an enigma waiting to be unraveled. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, he embarked on a quest for answers. He located the former assistant, who was initially reluctant, but ultimately revealed the unsettling truth. "I never liked Elena," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "She often remarked on how Elena didn't belong in your life, claiming she was a hindrance, and that she made no effort to change that. It was clear to everyone that her true desire was to have you for herself." A shiver coursed through Daniel as the assistant pressed on, her voice growing increasingly assured with every moment that passed. "Amelia instructed me to intercept your emails, specifically your messages to Elena. She claimed it was in your best interest, that distractions were unnecessary while you concentrated on your tasks. And then there was that one letter." Daniel felt his heart race. "Which letter are you referring to?" he inquired with a cutting tone, his gaze tightening. The assistant paused, her voice wavering. "Elena penned you a heartfelt, lengthy letter. I'm uncertain about the contents, but Amelia was explicit that it would never find its way to you." Daniel's hands balled into fists, his thoughts swirling rapidly. Reluctance filled me. Yet Amelia possessed an uncanny ability to manipulate those around her, bending them to her will. "I needed the job," the assistant admitted, as they passed Daniel a thumb drive. "I preserved a few items, emails, and memos. I have my doubts about its sufficiency, yet it could prove beneficial." Daniel navigated the road, his thoughts swirling with the weight of what lay ahead as he returned to his penthouse. Upon entering, he connected the drive to his laptop. The material was undeniably damning. Messages in which Amelia clearly outlined her intentions to create a rift between him and Elena, notes celebrating her triumphs in influencing him, and even confessions about intercepting conversations. The proof was unequivocal. That evening he faced Amelia. She sat comfortably in their living room, sipping wine and scrolling through her phone, embodying a picture of tranquility and distinction. "It's time for a conversation." Daniel's voice was frigid, resolute. Amelia glanced upward, a crease forming on her forehead. "What seems to be the issue?" she inquired, her tone condescending. Daniel set his laptop down on the coffee table and pressed play. The room resonated with the sound of Amelia's laughter as she shared the tale of how effortlessly she had played him. Amelia's face lost all color as she rose, her voice firm. "Where did you get that?" "It's of no consequence," Daniel responded, his tone as icy as the glare he cast. "The important thing is that I am aware of the truth. You deceived me, you twisted the truth. You shattered my marriage." Amelia let out a derisive laugh, her arms crossed defiantly over her chest. "Text, please, you and Elena were already drifting apart. I merely provided a gentle nudge." "A gentle nudge." Daniel's voice surged with rage. You intercepted her correspondence. You filled my mind with falsehoods. You undermined it all. All things. Amelia's mask shattered, her eyes narrowing into slits, her voice laced with malice. It was my pleasure, just so you know. Elena was insignificant, Daniel. She failed to grasp your meaning. She never had a place for you in her universe. I shaped the person you have become today. Without my influence, you would remain tethered to her, squandering your true potential. Daniel's revulsion was unmistakable as he fixed his gaze on her. You didn't create me. You have shattered my existence. In silence, he pivoted and strode off, abandoning Amelia in a storm of fury and indignation. The following morning, equipped with the incriminating evidence, Daniel laid out his case before the board of directors. The emails, the recordings, and the testimony from the former assistant crafted an undeniable picture of Amelia's deceitful machinations. The board, shocked by her behavior, decided to dismiss her from her role. They took away her shares and compelled her to leave the company. Throughout the divorce proceedings, Amelia sought to secure half of Daniel's fortune and substantial stakes in the business. However, Daniel's legal team, armed with compelling evidence of her deceit, quickly rebutted her claims. The judge decisively sided with Daniel, granting Amelia merely a small portion of her original demands. As the narrative spread through the media, Amelia's meticulously crafted public persona started to fall apart. She revealed herself to be a merciless social climber, having shattered Daniel's first marriage for her own benefit. Her formerly dazzling existence fell apart. In the concluding chapter of her demise, Amelia found herself isolated in her frigid, desolate apartment, perusing the press articles that sullied her reputation. She grasped her phone, yearning to connect with someone, anyone, yet the calls fell into silence. After Amelia left, Daniel devoted all his attention to Elena and their impending arrival. He distanced himself from his corporate duties, choosing to reconstruct the aspects of his life that had been broken for an extended period. He was resolute in his quest to forge a future that would ultimately enable him to shed the weight of his past. On a tranquil, peaceful evening, Daniel strolled towards Elena's apartment. The gentle radiance of the streetlights cast a warm light on his way as he neared the door, experiencing a blend of unease and desire. As Elena opened the door, she found herself standing before him, gently cradling their newborn in her arms. Her face, though undeniably weary and aged, radiated a subtle warmth of nurturing affection. Her hair was quickly gathered into a tousled bun, and her expression, though tinged with fatigue, remained undeniably inviting. Daniel remained still for a moment, speechless as he absorbed the image of the woman he had once known, now reshaped by the experience of motherhood. "Is that you, Daniel?" Elena's voice shattered the stillness, her tone softer than he recalled, laced with a blend of curiosity and careful restraint. "What brings you here?" I wanted to see both of you," Daniel whispered, his voice quivering with emotion as it hung in the air. Silently, he stepped inside and settled onto the couch, his hands quivering just a bit as he cradled their child for the very first time. The infant was incredibly tiny, so delicate, and as Daniel looked down at the little being, a wave of profound emotion washed over him. Tears welled in his eyes as he gently rocked the child in his arms, the weight of his responsibility settling into his chest like an anchor. He had never envisioned this moment, the inaugural instance he would cradle his own flesh and blood. From the doorway, Elena remained motionless, her stance enigmatic, yet imbued with a subtle warmth. Her gaze met Daniel's for an extended moment before she spoke once more, her voice infused with a blend of tentative optimism and enduring uncertainty. "You have much to demonstrate, Daniel," she stated with conviction, though her tone held no bitterness. "For the sake of them and our child, I will offer you an opportunity." The room lay in stillness, broken only by the soft rustle of the baby cradled in Daniel's arms. Elena lingered in the doorway, watching him closely. For the first time in ages, a delicate understanding blossomed between them, a quiet recognition that the path ahead would be challenging, yet it was one they could still traverse side by side. Daniel remained motionless on the couch, cradling the child he could now claim as his own. His thoughts a tempest of doubt, yet a glimmer of hope shone through. Elena stood in the doorway, her presence both far away and yet warm, conveying a depth of meaning. Though they were far from the perfect family, a glimmer of possibility hovered between them. Redemption, though elusive, seemed tantalizingly close. In that instant, the possibility of a brighter tomorrow, no matter how delicate, appeared to be a cause worthy of the struggle.